This podcast is sponsored by Federal Home Loan Banks. For more than 90 years, the Federal Home Loan Banks have provided cost-effective funding to lenders of all sizes, supporting housing finance and helping ensure money flows freely and efficiently throughout the economy. Visit FHLbanks.com to learn more. The Federal Home Loan Bank System, a nation of local lenders.
From the Credit Union National Association, this is the CUNA News Podcast. Credit union people, credit union ideas.
As Public Relations Manager at Texas Trust Credit Union in Arlington, Texas, Toni Nichols loves highlighting the work the credit union does on behalf of members through storytelling, social media, and creative campaigns that ingrain Texas Trust into people's consciousness. Case in point, a credit union space within a 6,000-seat theater that looks like a record shop, complete with credit union-themed t-shirts, album covers, posters, and a jukebox. Named Vought Records after the credit union's original sponsor, Vought Aircraft Corporation, the venue doesn't conduct transactions, but it leaves a strong impression on consumers who will eventually need financial services. I'm Bill Merrick, Deputy Editor at CUNA. This episode of the CUNA News Podcast features a conversation with Nichols, a 2023 credit union rock star. She shares how Vought Records came about, her approach to public relations, how she comes up with new ideas, advice for aspiring PR leaders, and more. So Toni Nichols, congratulations on being named a 2023 Credit Union Rockstar.
Thank you so much, Bill. I am super excited about this.
Can you tell me a little bit about your background and how you came to Texas Trust?
Yeah. So I graduated from the University of Texas in Arlington with a degree in English, and I had a full-time job, but at the time I really, social media was just up and coming and I really loved it. So I started my own blog and started writing that way. I got hired by a celebrity blog to write for them, do some interviews and things. And so it really got my feet wet with marketing and social media, and an opportunity opened up at Texas Trust to help. I started off in the marketing department and kind of get their social media under control. And during my time here, I've been here 7 years. I'm now in the public relations department as their PR manager.
That's great. What was the topic of your blog?
It was an open letter blog. So I wrote on a number of topics. I even wrote some movie reviews, some films that I would see. So that kind of led to, me getting to interview a few people and getting to go to those early screenings and some red carpet. So it was a fun time.
That's cool. Who's the most famous person that you met through your blog?
I got a chance to interview a rapper actor by the name of Common, and that was really, really great. It was a movie that he had done, kind of a smaller scale, but he was super sweet, and that was fun. I was this close to getting to talk to Michelle Obama. That's kind of like almost got
that
there.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's very cool. Can you tell me about your approach to PR and what you like about it most?
Yeah, so I love what I really love the most about public relations is that it gives you an opportunity to tell the story. And as someone who just kind of naturally is a storyteller, I used to write books when I was a kid, and I just love talking about all of the great things that we do around the credit union for our members, for our community, spreading that positive message. The credit union world is one that's still a little bit, in my opinion, for the general public, a little mysterious. Some folks still think you need to belong to a certain organization or a company to get into a credit union. It's not widely available to people. And so this kind of lifts the veil and helps us tell the story that we are for everyone and we are welcoming no matter which credit union you go to.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. A lot of great stories to tell with members, and it kind of lends itself to that. So what do you see as some of the components of good PR and also bad PR?
So I would say a good component of PR is really sitting down with your executive team, with your leadership, and figuring out what is the story that we want to tell? We can say, tell our story, but there's so many different things. Do you want us to talk about the ways that we have changed members' lives? Do you want to talk about how our employees are helping people every day? Do you want to talk about all of the scholarships that we've given? Maybe you want to talk about all of those things, but getting that direction from them, trying to figure out what it is they see as the value is really the key to some great PR. Bad PR is when you have an idea and you just run off with it without kind of checking and making sure that this is something that everyone stands behind. Because when you are a PR, you're talking as that organization. And so you need to make sure that everyone else is in step with what you want to say. Even if you have a personal feeling that's something opposite, you are representing a group of people. And so you really need to check in, make sure that the language that you're talking is what they are talking as well.
Sure. Yeah, you're the face of the organization. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Have you ever made a PR related mistake? And if so, what did you learn from it?
So this was during a time that I wasn't in PR, but it is a PR related mistake. When I first got to Texas Trust, I managed the social media. And so on social media, you're always getting complaints from people about their experiences. And so there was a particular person who came to the page on one of our channels and started to tell their horrible experience. And I just got here. So I really wanted to make a great impression. I put together a response that was very positive and peppy, and I ran it by my supervisor at the time, and she completely nixed it. She said it's because this person had been a frequent complainer, and so they kind of knew how we would respond, and the way I was approaching it was a different voice than what they had originally talked about. So the PR lesson to know is that it's very important to know your brand voice and tone and make sure that you are fitting in with what the organization has established. So there's a little bit of observe and then react that needs to go into PR.
Yeah, that's great advice for sure. So where do you come up with all your great ideas? I was reading your nomination form, and there's so much to it.
Yeah.
What's your approach to coming up with new stuff?
You have to get out there and experience new things, whether it's traveling or reading the news and looking at social media, seeing what's trending. You really have to expand your environment. One of the major things that was in my nomination was the Vought Records activation space. And that was inspired for me from a trip that I took to Las Vegas. So you never know when and where inspiration is going to come from.
Yeah, that is a really cool program. Can you talk a little bit about that, and how it came about and what it all entails?
Yeah. So in 2019, Texas Trust had the naming rights and made an agreement, a partnership with AEG Presents for a theater space here in Texas, in Grand Prairie, Texas. It's now called the Texas Trust CU Theater in Grand Prairie. And it's an entertainment venue. It seats about 6,000 people. They have world famous acts that come in all the time. And so there was a space in the lobby that was available to us to use in any way we wanted to. And so we didn't think it would be a good fit for it to be like another branch. And it would kind of stick out in this environment when you have people coming to watch entertainers. So we wanted to do something that would make sense to where it was. Because when people walk through the doors, they want to get entertained. They could be needing to have a bank account. They could be on the last leg of their vehicle and needing a new vehicle and a vehicle loan. But when they walk through those doors, they just want to have a good time. So I wanted to talk about Texas Trust in a way that made sense to where it was. And so that's where Vought Records came. And it is designed to be a record shop. And when you walk in, you'll see concert t-shirts hanging up. You'll see albums on the wall, album covers and posters, music posters, and they all have a Texas Trust twist. So instead of saying the Rolling Stones, it says the vehicle loans. Instead of saying Red Hot Chili Peppers, it says Red Hot Loan Rates. So it's all of these iconic albums with the Texas Trust twist. And we even have an interactive jukebox where people can approach it. They can scroll through some of those albums that they see and click on it. And the song is in the style of what they've selected, but all of the lyrics relate to Texas Trust.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
How does this benefit the credit union?
So this particular opportunity was a branding opportunity. So it's basically to get our name out there, start it to get it ingrained into people's minds, put a really positive spin on our name. And so when you have something like this where it's really fun, unexpected, people flock to that. It's very Instagram friendly. And so there's tons of pictures of people going into the space and taking photos. Every concert that I have visited and gone into that space, it's almost packed with the number of people just hanging out in there. It's become like a hangout space for the theater. It's really awesome. And so, when they leave the show and it's the next day and reality sets in and they need a checking account or they need a loan, we want them to think, you know what, I had a great time yesterday with Texas Trust. Let's see what they're about.
That's great. It's thinking so outside the box,
Yeah.
That's so cool. Any other campaigns you'd like to mention? I was reading about your Bank of America meme campaign.
Yes, that one was one of those spur of the moment, just listening to the news type things. So in 2018, Bank of America had announced that they no longer had free checking accounts. And free checking accounts is kind of the cornerstone of credit unions. We have them all day. And I saw it as an opportunity to say, hey, they just made that announcement, but we have what you need here. And so I had an idea to create a meme that I had seen on social media, a very popular one, and to cultivate it so it mentions Texas Trust. And my supervisor at the time looked at it and loved it. And it was spur of the moment. It wasn't planned. We sat on it for maybe 30 minutes and we said, we got to do this while it's hot. This news is just hitting. This is going to catch people's eyes. So we went ahead, got it on Facebook. We boosted it and it kind of went viral. It was amazing. People just loved the cleverness of it. And it made them realize that, credit unions can be cool. And this is a great place to come.
And you were a big part of the COVID response at Texas Trust when the pandemic started. Mm-hmm. What was your role in that?
So my role in that was communicating with our members about what we were doing to help them and what we were doing to maintain a safe environment at the credit union. COVID was a wild time. It literally was day and night. One day we are doing business as usual, and the next day we are shutting doors to the lobbies. We're going to remote work, even for those of us in headquarters. If you didn't have your own space, you were working from home. And so we really had to pivot and adjust. And it was a time where a lot of people were scared. And we didn't want our members to be concerned about their money. There's more important things to think about, but we wanted to assure them that we are safe. Your money is safe. If you need money, if there's an emergency situation because of this, we're here for you. And so I worked on all of the communication that went out to our members, talking about how our branches had changed their operations, what we were doing for them. We also had a website that was created really quickly to cover things like their emergency loan if they needed one, if they needed to kind of do a skip a pay or forbearance, all the different options that we had. And so it was very important to come up with different communication scenarios too. What do we say if a whole branch is affected and no one can come to that branch, even in a drive-through? What do we say if we have leadership who's affected by this and other employees? So it was very important to make sure that we were communicating in a way that was very succinct, that was very positive, and that was warm, and we were here for them.
That's great. How did members respond to all of your efforts?
It was great. We had great response as soon as we got our resources up on that website. And as soon as we got those emails out, members were calling in and reaching out right away. Some people were being affected immediately. Some people were concerned about what was coming, so they wanted to make sure they were lined up with their financial needs. Some of them just wanted some place that they could still go and feel a sense of normalcy. And so even just coming to the drive-through, help them feel like, okay, maybe this isn't so far out of what my normal routine is and it's not so scary.
Yeah, definitely. What lessons did you learn about crisis communications from that whole experience?
I think the biggest lesson for me is that you never know. And if you think that something cannot happen or will not happen, that is the wrong way to think about it. You know, at the very beginning, I think everyone thought this was going to be maybe a couple of weeks. We were just going to be home, and it was almost like a slumber party. Everybody was just at the house. We have our snacks. And I mean, COVID still affects us to this day. And there's still practices that we keep in place, like making sure we have sanitizer everywhere, that everyone is being safe, and masking if they're feeling sick and whatnot. So you always need to expect the unexpected and be prepared.
What advice would you offer aspiring PR leaders?
Well, what I would say is PR is a great kind of industry to be in. We get to do some really great work. We get to tell some fun stories, some touching stories. But there's also the aspect of it that can be a little bit more scary. You know, the crisis communications, the having to be the face of an organization if something goes wrong. So really just keep yourself always engaged with what's going on in the world, what's going on in news, and don't be afraid to take chances on those different stories you want to tell. Make sure that you're talking to everyone, not only your leadership team, but your teammates, people in the branches, because you want to be a voice that speaks for everyone. So you need to speak to everyone.
Do you have a favorite social media platform, like for work and then for your personal use?
Yeah. So for work, for us, I love our Facebook page. A lot of our members are there, and they love seeing and hearing about all of the good things that we're doing. As a matter of fact, we currently have a I Love My Credit Union campaign kind of going on social media today. So it's really a joy to see all of the really good feel-good stories and things that we have, not only from members, but from our employees. And we actually have some employees that started out as members. So it's a really great storytelling day for us. On my personal side, I love TikTok. I love TikTok. I have been drawn in. It's very entertaining. People are funny. There's so much great advice out there that can even help you in your professional life. So I am very much a fan of TikTok.
I was reading too how you're somewhat of a TV celebrity too. You're actually you're on the Wheel of Fortune. And
yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, a little bit of celebrity experience, I guess you could say. Wheel of Fortune was one of those things that was crazy, just happened in my life. They came to Dallas, and a friend and I were sitting at brunch, and we saw that they were here. We weren't far, so I said, well, let's go try. And then next thing you know, I got chosen, and I was on the TV. There's also been a couple of advertisings that's been running in Texas for Golden Chick, which is a chicken restaurant. And I just happened to be hanging out in Dallas one day in a park, and they were filming a commercial. And they were pulling people, asking them, hey, do you want to be in this commercial? I said, sure. We didn't know who was going to be chosen, but next thing you know, I'm getting phone calls and texts from people saying, I swear there was someone who looked just like you on TV.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
What did you get to meet, like, back to the Wheel of Fortune, Pat and Vanna?
Yes.
And what was that like? I mean, you just must feel kind of surreal being on the set there.
It was. Vanna was incredibly sweet. She came and spoke to us when we were getting ready. Very beautiful lady. She has an amazing wardrobe to pick from. Anything you can think of, she has. And Pat Sajak is hilarious. He is cracking jokes in between takes. And one of the things that kind of amazed me the most was that wheel is a lot smaller than you would think, and it's very heavy.
Really? Okay.
It is.
Good to
It
know.
is.
How did you do on your episode?
Yeah, so I was able to get the very first puzzle. So that is my claim to fame, is I was able to solve that very first one. The rest of it, not so great, but it was a wonderful experience. I really loved it.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So what's one thing that most people don't know about you?
One thing that most people don't know about me is I love wine. I have been kind of learning more and more through the years to the point that I'm considering, I don't know if I want to be a wine sommelier, but I considered, taking some courses and things. So I've done some traveling around the country and even different places in the world that are wine places and had some great experiences and testing. So I love, wine and all of the great things about it, that education.
Oh, that's great. Do you have a favorite type?
Yes. I am a personal fan of champagne. I love bubbles. I love to celebrate. And so you can never go wrong with that. It goes with everything.
For sure. For sure. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think that's it. This is, as someone who has received this award, I cannot express how excited I am, not only for myself, but for the credit union. We have a lot of great employees here. We have a lot of great leadership in this organization. And I've been here for 7 years, and I wouldn't be able to do the great things that I've done here at the credit union without that leadership and without that support. So I'm very excited to represent Texas Trust when I accept this.
Thanks for listening to the CUNA News Podcast. Subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube.
This podcast is sponsored by Federal Home Loan Banks. For more than 90 years, the Federal Home Loan Banks have provided cost-effective funding to lenders of all sizes. Roughly 6,500 banks, credit unions, insurance companies, and community development financial institutions all across the country rely on FHL bank funding to support housing finance and ensure money flows freely and efficiently throughout the economy. The Federal Home Loan Banks are proud of their history of success and the vital role they play in keeping America's financial system functioning smoothly. Visit FHLbanks.com to learn more. The Federal Home Loan Bank System, a nation of local lenders.